Hello and welcome to our second video. We've been on the road for 4 weeks, or at the time of this video nearly 4 weeks, but we've been on the road for 4 weeks and we thought it was time to do an update. People have been asking for some updates, some more videos of what we're doing, so you will see some video during this YouTube video of what we've been doing, where we've been. I'll give a bit of an honest update as to what it's been like, where we're going, how we're getting on, when we're heading to Europe, because that's where I want to get to. And yeah, so let's get into it. Cheers. So where have we been? So obviously we left Somerset and we headed down to sort of Dorset, Hampshire area, and stayed just outside or just inside the New Forest. We were there for about a week, I think, at the first site, which was lovely. We got some beaches, did some walks in the New Forest. Myself and Sammy actually lived in the New Forest for sort of 12 to 18 months, very early on in sort of relationships and stuff like that, and it was just lovely to be back and kind of be there for a little while. That was a lovely campsite. We were staying near Branscore, I think that's how you say it. Lovely site, lovely area, very close to the beach, but also very close to the New Forest and Burley. And so then we moved down to near Wareham, and we spent some time near Swanage, and we went to Studland Bay, I think it is, near Poole, which was lovely. Very, very hot though, so it was a bit difficult sort of juggling dogs, kids and stuff in the heat. We also got to, I think this was the day we sort of left, but we got to Bovington Tank Museum. There was a tank show on that weekend, but unfortunately we couldn't go in. It was sold out. But on the Monday, I think it was, we before we headed back up to Somerset, we went and stopped at the viewing area that they have at Bovington. Definitely worth a trip during the week if you're interested in that sort of thing, or your kids are. But you get to, it's literally a viewing area right next to where they train. There's also some lovely walks there, but it was amazing to see and hear some tanks, being used as they are meant to be, not just display. The kids absolutely loved it, certainly the boys, and Millie, to be fair. Ada just running around causing chaos as usual, but that was brilliant. And then after that we headed back up to Somerset. We had to do a few final things with the house, so headed up there, got those bits done, and then we stayed locally in Somerset. It was a nice campsite, facilities. So we joined the Caravan and Motorhome Club before we went on this trip, and so far they've all been very, very good. I'm quite impressed with the facilities with them all. We then stayed in this Somerset one, which was a bit of an independent one. Pictures looked amazing, but didn't kind of live up to that. But the biggest benefit was it had a swimming pool, so we could do a few. Went to the pool a few times with the kids, which was great. So we could try and sort of get Millie back in the water. The boys are fairly confident with swimming, which is great, but we just want to build Millie's confidence up and try and teach her a little bit more of how to swim. So that was one of the biggest benefits. We did a few sort of local walks, but it was mainly a visit just to get some bits done. So we didn't really want to visit back to where we know, because we've done everything there, kind of. So yeah, that was Somerset, and then following that we went up to the Brecons. Now, I've spent a fair bit of time growing up. My school had a house in the Brecon Beacons. As a family, I went as a kid camping and so on and so forth there as a kid, as a youngster, and I've done a few as a sort of automotive guy. I've done a few driving days and weekends there, which I mean, the roads in Wales are insane, because not only do you get great roads, but you also get the scenery as well. So it was lovely to get back there, and we actually stayed just outside Brecon. And then something that I've wanted to do for so long, and we finally got around to doing it. I did it with Stephen and Charlie. Is we climbed or walked Penny Fan, which was amazing. The views. We've been below that with the kids before. We've kind of walked to some of the reservoirs and lakes that are below it, but I've never got up there. The kids were kind of too young, but the boys were well up for it. So we had a full day out. So we walked from the campsite just outside Brecon into Brecon, and then we got a taxi round to the sort of base tourist area, if you like, a tourist walkway, to go up Penny Fan. Took us about an hour and 30 to an hour and 35 minutes to walk up there, which I was quite pleased with, as my fitness isn't the greatest at the minute, but it's pretty good. But the boys were certainly telling me to get on with it. And the views were just literally, I mean, and the weather was perfect. It was sunny, it was hot, it was clear, you could see for miles. It was absolutely bliss. And then we walked back down again, then we waited for a bus, and we got the bus back into Brecon, and then walked back again. I think between us, I think the boys must have done 40,000 steps. I did 30,000 steps. It was a full day out. It was phenomenal, and I'm so pleased I got to do that with the boys. So yeah, we got to climb Penny Fan. Sammy was back here with the motorhome, taking the girls to the park and doing various bits here, but just gave me and the boys some time to actually go and climb Penny Fan, which was lovely. So once we'd done Brecon, we headed up north. Now, something that I have been there before, there's a place in Wales that's called the Mac Loop, and if you're kind of into that sort of thing, you kind of know what it is. But it's basically an area of Wales where the RAF are allowed to do low flying, essentially. So, and it's a bit hit or miss. You can kind of go, they don't really fly at the weekends, and obviously the weather's kind of got to be good, although they do fly in the rain and stuff like that as well. But we headed to a campsite which literally is underneath the Mac Loop. So it's I think it's called Cad West and Cad East. And it's two sort of hillsides, and you're camping right at the bottom in the valley. And we stayed there for 4 days, because as I said, you don't really know what you're going to find when you get there. You don't really know what's going to be flying. We were very pleased with what we saw, but I would have liked to have seen some more fast jets. So the campsite below, I'm not going to say the name, but I'll put it up in the video because it's properly Welsh. And the guy that owns it is fantastic. He's genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to. Really, really down to earth, lovely guy. He's been running that campsite since the 70s. And just a genuinely nice farmer. Runs around doing his farming bits. His son, I think, farms a lot of the land now, and he just kind of runs the campsite. But really lovely guy. The facilities, they were made in the 70s, so they're still sufficient. There was a shower there. The toilets were okay, but not compared to what we'd been used to. So it was a bit of a kind of, we were there to see one thing, and that was the planes flying through. So we saw some F-15s. We saw some, as Charlie calls them, the Black Arrows. So they're like the Hawk jets. They were flying through, and we saw I can't remember the other one, but there was another one that was actually passenger flights that you could pay for, from somewhere around Liverpool, that were flying through. And we also saw very late at night. It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and suddenly we heard this. I checked the app on my phone, and we saw that this A400M, I think it is, was coming through, and it literally just flew right over our heads, and the kids were absolutely buzzing. It was brilliant. And then they went round and flew over again. So the kids were so pleased with what they got to see, which is brilliant. So we stayed there for a few days, saw that, and then we headed up further into the Snowdonia region. So then we went up to Snowdon, another place that I've driven around and sort of spent a little bit of time there, but never stayed for more than a kind of night. So we stayed just outside Betsy Coed. I think that's how you say it, Betsy Coed, which was lovely. The only annoying thing that one of the things we've found is like to travel around. It's a bit more challenging, so you have to kind of think of the sites that you go to so that you can get relatively good access. So it was fine staying there. It would have been nice to be able to see a bit more around. We went for some lovely walks, and just saw some of Snowdon. We didn't unfortunately get to even climb a little bit of Snowdon. We went to Llanberis, which is just below Snowdon, where there's a lovely freshwater lake there. The kids had a walk around there. They've got little sort of off-road little cars which they were driving in and out of the water, and it was just a lovely place to spend some time. So that's where the slate mines are as well. Annoyingly, it's been so hot, it's kind of a bit unbearable for the dogs and for the kids to kind of go on any major hikes. I wanted to go up and see the old sort of what I think they call the Anglesey barracks, where the old miners used to live and stuff like that. But we'll come back here at a more suitable time, and maybe the weather's not as hot, and I'll try and get up there to get some video. So yeah, went there and did a couple of walks, and then we went up to Lake Barla, which was lovely, stunning place, up to Roog Estate, which is where they farm bison, and then we carried on down to Anglesey, which is where we are now. So we're currently on Anglesey, absolutely stunning place. We've kind of used this Anglesey stop. The campsite is lovely. I think it's called Home Farm. It's absolutely lovely. It's probably, from a facilities perspective and like where you are and how nice it is, it's probably the best one we stayed at so far. So the kids love it. So we actually booked in an extra day. So we've kind of just had a bit of a reset, got various bits, jobs and stuff like that done that we needed to do. So it's just been nice to reset. And then I don't really know where we're going to head next. We're either going to head up to the Lake District, or we'll head south and sort of make our way back down to sort of central southern England, in the hopes that we get the V5 back, and meaning we can head into Europe. So we're yet to decide, but we may end up in the Lake District as we're so close. So yeah, overall, phenomenal first few weeks. We've been to amazing places, spent some time and seen some sites that we'd never thought we'd get to see and actually spend time at. You know, you go to these places, you go for a day and you drive back, or you go on a holiday and it's a little bit different, but it's just been nice to just be able to chill out. So yeah, amazing first 4 weeks with where we've been, and let's see where we go in the next 4 weeks, hopefully to Europe. So I thought I'd just talk for a little bit about the motorhome and how that's been, what challenge we've come across. To be honest, not many. There's a few things that I'm sort of working through, a little list of things to sort of fix, but you know, these motorhomes generally are made to go in a couple of times a year. They're not made to live in. So it's only little things like, you know, we went down quite a bumpy road the other day and it knocked a wall plug out, which I've got to fill with some sort of glue and matchsticks and get the screws to, you know, fix them back in again. A few little bits like that, nothing major. I say one of the biggest challenges that I'm finding, is something that I didn't anticipate with a tag axle, is the levelling side of it. So obviously when you've got a front axle and a rear axle, you can kind of bring or level it quite easily because it's only 4. But when you've got the six wheels, you've got to think about how you level it properly. So for example, where we are at the minute is relatively flat because we're on a gravel pitch, but it is at a slight angle, and without being able to lift up all 3 wheels on one side, you can't level it. It's not that easy. So if anyone's out there that's watching this that has any tips on leveling tag axles, please get in touch or drop a comment below, because I'd love to learn a little bit more about it. It's something I just didn't anticipate. But it's been okay. There's been a few occasions where it's just been frustrating that we haven't been able to level it out. So, like, for example, here, I just thought we tried with the levelling ramps we've got, and they're probably a bit too worn because I only bought them second hand. But I just thought I'll just leave it. You know, it only really makes a difference when you're sleeping in it at night. But outside of that, it's been pretty good, and I'm pretty pleased. It's obviously towing a lot of weight, which affects the fuel economy. But yeah, it's pretty good. We're really pleased. So what's it been like as a family? It's been brilliant. Obviously, the kids have absolutely loved it. It's been a lot of fun with them sleeping in different bunks. What we are going to do is we've got the front dinette where you normally have a table there and you can make it up into a bed, and then you have the over the cab bed. What we've found is at night time it can be a bit, let's say, challenging to get them all to sleep. So what we're trying to find is a single bed that will go over the seats in the front cab, so that it gives us kind of a third bed. Luckily, they're all kind of small enough. You know, we could have the bed at the back is quite big. It's like a queen size bed, so it's pretty damn big. And at the moment, it's got me, Sammy, and Ada in it. So we have had Millie in a few times, which is absolutely fine. There's more than enough space, but we will get the third bed for the front, so that probably Charlie will sleep in the front cab, potentially, just to give us an option to sort of break them up so they all get a good night's sleep and go to bed a bit easier. So I suppose the only thing is that's a little bit frustrating is making and putting down the beds every day. But if you just do it as the first job in the morning, it's like making your bed. I wasn't always the greatest at making my bed, but if you just get into that routine of the first job you do is you put the beds away, then it's not the end of the world. It's just like if the kids are tired and we get somewhere a bit late, it just takes a little bit of time to sort of build them up and get them ready. But it's not the end of the world, and we'll get more and more used to it as time goes on. Food's been interesting. So obviously we're feeding 6 of us. We are trying to sort of eat a little bit sort of less and more healthy and stuff like that. So, and actually I found it quite fun. So going from having a kitchen with plenty of space to prep and cook and stuff like that to essentially a little barbecue and a cooker inside, it's been quite fun. But we've had some great meals. We bought bison burgers the other day, which was quite nice to try. Lots of salads, lots of sort of, chicken mixed with. But when we are going to do something that we want to do is I do really enjoy my cooking. I have done for a long time. So I'm going to do some videos of some of the food that I don't generally use a recipe book, really. We have bought a tray bake recipe book, which we'll probably try and use. But generally, I'll just sort of throw some stuff in and I roughly know what sort of goes well together. So I'm going to do some videos of that, of sort of the prep, what we're cooking. And because I think it's just people seem to like that, so we're going to do that. But food's been fine. Luckily we've had good weather and we've been able to cook outside for 90% of the time. There's been a few occasions where we've gone down and got chips from they have at some of the campsites. They have a food van that turns up, so we'll go and get fish and chips and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're trying to cook in here so that once we get into Europe, we're kind of used to it. We know what we can do, and stuff like that. So that's been fine. Keeping the kids entertained, it's been okay. Most of the campsites have a park, they have a field to go and play in. Luckily, our kids love the outdoors, so they would rather be out kicking a ball around or playing or walking or doing anything like that than sat inside on a tablet or something like that. So thankfully, they are all like that, and we found it relatively okay. There's been a few occasions where it's just like trying to get them to calm down a little bit and just chill out for 5 minutes. But for the most part, so far, we'll see what happens once the weather changes. With regard to entertainment, Ada we've got the TV working on Starlink and on some of the Wi-Fi at some of the sites, so she'll sit and watch a few things on the TV just to give us 5 minutes while we prep food and various bits and pieces. But other than that, it's been pretty good, really. I don't think we've found anything too challenging with regards to that. The biggest lessons that we've learned, being a tag axle, what we didn't realise is we've not really found that many, but there's been 1 or 2 campsites where, for example, one we had booked in Wareham didn't specify on their website that there was a bridge to access the site that you had to go under, and that bridge was something like 2.9 metres. We wouldn't get underneath that at all, which was a bit frustrating. So we had to suddenly make a last minute booking somewhere else, which I think was called Hunter's Moon, but that was lovely anyway. Lovely walks around there. And there's a few campsites we've come across where they will only accept up to 8 metres. But what we've found is if you call ahead and say, look, it's a 50 centimetres, it's not like it's going to make a difference. I think the reason they do this so they don't get RVs and stuff like that, the big American stuff. So we've called ahead at a few and they said, yeah, it's fine, don't worry. I assume some of it's down to insurance and access as well, but for the most part we found it to be pretty good. We want to do our first off-grid kind of night somewhere, so that's what's going to happen over the next week. We're going to just do an off-grid night, check everything works, test everything, because then we can get some bits done. So other than that, there's not really I suppose sometimes it's just we're so excited with everything that we just want to go and see everything, but sometimes it's nice to just chill and not go and rush around like lunatics. But yeah, so far so good with regards to kids, food, sleeping arrangements and that sort of thing. So I suppose the best moments, just to sort of go over it, definitely seeing the jets, the tanks. This is more for me. I mean, I would probably say the kids say the same. They keep going on about wanting to go somewhere else where they can see it. So that's part of potentially why we're going to go to the Lake District. Climbing Penny Fan was one of my biggest. I'm so pleased we've done that, and I'm so pleased I got to do that with the boys. And most importantly is the memories that we're making as a family. That is by far the best thing of all of this, and that's exactly why we're doing it, is to make memories together. So that for me is the biggest thing, and probably for Sammy too. I will get Sammy on the next video. She's taking the kids down to a little indoor play area just to give 5 minutes of quiet to get a sort of first proper video done. But she'll be on the next one when it's quite windy here, so it'd be quite difficult to do it in the evenings. But we will do some more. We're going to do some vloggy type stuff as well, so like day in the life of that sort of thing. What's next? So what's next is, like I said, we're probably going to go to Lake District or Pembrokeshire. We're not fully decided yet, which is quite nice to have that ability to not really worry. But we're just waiting on the V5 to come back from the DVLA, so that we can get into Europe. That's what the whole of this was all about, was getting into Europe. So we're just waiting on that. Everything else behind the scenes is all kind of worked out, ready for Europe. We just need that document to get in there, because we can't really go without it. We could risk it and go, but I've seen a few people say that there's just no point, and if you only have a copy of it, it's not good enough. So we don't want to get somewhere and then not be able to get into a country or whatever. So we're just going to wait. We're under no major pressure. Obviously, the idea was we wanted to try and get into Europe before the summer holidays started, so it's not chaos. But I think we're going to kind of hit it when that happens. So yeah, let's see what happens. As I said, we're going to do a few more videos. Now we've sort of settled in a little bit more, we're going to try and increase the kind of content of what we're doing every day and that sort of thing. So thanks for following along, and please either subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow our Facebook page for further updates. If you're an experienced motorhomer or tourer, and you've got any advice, or if you you're interested in sort of what we're doing with regards to schoolwork, because the kids have all been doing schoolwork pretty much every day, other than like travel days where it's a bit busy. Anything like that, drop a comment below, drop us a message. I'll put the email in there as well. So yeah, and then obviously just follow along for any updates. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.